The Emilia Romanga Grand Prix at Imola set itself up to be an absolute battlefield. Max Verstappen and Red Bull struggled throughout practice, with a newly upgraded Ferrari and the McLarens both looking better on long-run pace. With Lando Norris coming straight off the back of a first-ever race win in Miami, and Oscar Piastri now having a fully upgraded car, the two McLaren drivers looked like they had the best pace before the Grand Prix. Max managed to make it to pole position with a lap worthy of a three-time world champion. But before Sunday's Grand Prix, the talk was still all about McLaren and Ferrari and who would beat Max to the top of the podium. However, it wasn't to be. A largely processional Grand Prix ended a few laps too soon for Lando Norris to make the most of his better tyre management. While we didn't learn much about the current grid's pecking order, 2025's driver lineup did start to take shape, with a number of transfers just waiting to be announced. So, let's check it out. Over half of the F1 grid have their contracts expiring at the end of 2024, with some teams already making moves on the 2025 driver lineup. The 2024 preseason saw both Ferrari and McLaren lock down their drivers by extending their contracts with Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris respectively, while Ferrari also announced the hiring of Lewis Hamilton for the 2025 season. Outside of those two teams though, there are spaces up for grabs everywhere. Well, apart from Aston Martin, as Lance Stroll isn't going to be going anywhere. Nico Hülkenberg was one of the first drivers with an expiring contract to reveal his plans for 2025. The German is set to leave Haas at the end of this season and will move to Sauber ahead of the Audi switchover in 2026. Alex Albon has been linked to various top teams following the news of Lewis Hamilton moving to Ferrari in 2025, but it's been announced that he has signed a new multi-year deal with Williams. The Thai British driver has pledged his future with the team for 2026 and beyond. That still leaves plenty of places up for grabs though. Mercedes have a spot open, Alpine, Haas, Sauber and VCarb are currently driverless for 2025, and of course Red Bull's Sergio Perez is out of contract at the end of the year. Checo looked to be on the brink of getting the boot mid-season in 2023, with Daniel Ricciardo being the favourite to replace him. Considering Ricciardo's performance since his return to the sport at the Red Bull Junior team though, Horner and co are probably glad they didn't pull the trigger on that move. With Checo's contract actually up at the end of this season, the question is no longer, do we need to swap him out? Instead, it is there someone better we can get? Sergio is never going to challenge Max consistently over a season, but that isn't what Red Bull need from him. Max doesn't need pushing. They need Checo to shore up the Constructors' Championship and take points off Max's competitors in the Drivers' Championship. However, performances like the one in Imola aren't going to help his position. Checo has had a good start to the season, but in Italy, he showed the inconsistency that has made people question his place at Red Bull in the past. Journalist Andrew Benson was speaking on the Checkered Flag podcast and analysing how the race unfolded. He said that missing out on Q3 harked back to the issues the 39 podium driver suffered in 2023. Charles Leclerc took third place today, a bit of a lonely race for him, not able to challenge the two guys in front of him but clear of the rest. But it just goes to show that he's had such a strong season, very consistent and generally getting the best out of that car. But I think it speaks a lot for Leclerc's season so far over 7 races, but it also speaks a lot for Sergio Perez, who's a guy he's replaced in second place in the Drivers' Championship. Verstappen's won 5 out of 7 races now, and Perez hasn't. He finished 8th today after starting 11th. Okay, it's difficult to overtake at Imola, but that's not good enough when you're driving at Red Bull. It's not going to do his hopes of staying in that team any good at all. However, Horner said Perez has turned around his form since last season and expects last weekend's dip in performance will prove a one-off. I think he's had a much better start to this year, bar this weekend, which has been an anomaly, said Horner. He's been very, very strong. I think that his approach has been more relaxed, less focused on what Max is doing, just focusing on himself, and I think he's responded to that. While one Red Bull driver failed to impress, another continued to prove that he is growing into a seriously competitive driver. Yuki Tsunoda is the most recent driver to be promoted to F1 from Red Bull's junior program and has raced for AlphaTauri, now VCarb, since the 2021 season. He signed 1-year contract extensions in 2022 and 2023 and did so again to cover the 2024 campaign. The Japanese driver has had a reputation for wild, rapid driving and lacking consistency, and has had several big crashes following unforced errors. However, this year, he appears to be completely transformed. 4 points finishes in 7 races is an incredibly impressive return. Considering Daniel Ricciardo is yet to get a points finish in a Grand Prix and hasn't even come close, Yuki's on the radar of a number of teams. A place at Red Bull is still a step too far though, according to a number of insiders at the team. But with Honda's backing, the Japanese driver is sure to remain on the grid for next season. One driver who is definitely on the move is Valtteri Bottas. With Nico Hülkenberg being confirmed at Sauber to help herald the entry of Audi into the sport, the team have already made an offer to fill their second seat. Carlos Sainz has visited Red Bull and Alpine as he weighs up his options. However, Sainz is understood to have been offered a lucrative contract to join Nico Hülkenberg at Sauber next year, ahead of the team's transformation to Audi in 2026. It is being reported that this option is only on the table until the end of the month. It is believed that Sainz is holding off making a decision while he evaluates his chances of landing a seat at either Red Bull or Mercedes before committing to Sauber. With Perez appearing to be in a strong position to retain his seat despite his Imola performance, and Mercedes seemingly favouring Antonelli or an Alpine driver, there is a risk Sainz could miss out on all 3 vacancies. Whatever happens with Sainz though, Valtteri Bottas' time at the team seems to be over. Since moving to Sauber, Bottas has struggled, but not scoring points in a car that isn't good enough to score points is hardly a surprise. Someone who is very aware of how good he can be is James Vowles, and with Logan Sargent's time in Formula 1 as good as over, Williams are on the hunt for a driver to help them continue to grow into the new regulations. Williams now appear to be almost certain to replace Sargent with Sauber driver Valtteri Bottas for 2025. Having spent 4 seasons at the team already, the $190,000 a week driver already has plenty of experience driving for the team and would be a brilliant teammate for Alex Albon next season. Bottas was spotted at the Williams motorhome for a meeting with James Vowles in Imola, and there are plenty of reports stating that the contract is just waiting for a signature now. Another driver hunting for a new seat in 2025 is Alpine's Esteban Ocon. The $114,000 a week driver has scored the team's only points of the season so far, and both Alpine drivers were nowhere near the top 10, once again in Imola. It's been a tough campaign, and the 27-year-old doesn't see it getting any better next year. It's hard to blame Esteban Ocon for seeking a new challenge away from Alpine next year. He's had 5 seasons with the team since joining Renault in 2020, and despite them helping him win his only Formula 1 race thus far, things have been getting worse over the past 2 years, as Alpine's management has fallen apart due to an over-involved board of directors. Speaking about the futures of both Alpine drivers, Ted Kravitz said, "On the driver market, are Ocon and Gasly looking for new teams to join? Yes, I think they probably are. Ocon is definitely looking to change teams, as understandably, he's starting to think that they might not have a quick car next year either. But yeah, Ocon is well and truly on the market." Ocon earned a place in the Mercedes Academy after winning the 2014 F3 European Championship and the 2015 GP3 Series, and served as the team's reserve driver in 2019. His move to Renault ended the official partnership, but he is now heavily being linked with a move back to Brackley, as the Silver Arrows look to replace Lewis Hamilton. Asked about his ties with the team, Ocon spoke about how he still considers himself a Mercedes junior, and how he still has regular contact with the team. "I'm still, in my mind, a Mercedes junior," he told the media in Imola. The management side? That hasn't changed since 2015. "We are discussing a lot. We will decide what's best for my future." As the hype around Andrea Kimi Antonelli has started to calm down, a promotion straight to F1 is looking less and less like a sensible idea, whereas Esteban Ocon would be a much safer bet. With George Russell out of contract next season and not looking like the next Lewis Hamilton that Mercedes thought he was, there could still be a seat available for Antonelli in 2026 without Mercedes having to fire someone mid-contract or sign Ocon to a 1-year deal. An F2 championship win for Antonelli looks incredibly unlikely this season, meaning he can race in the series again next year, gain more experience, and be all the stronger for it when Mercedes do decide to promote him at a more appropriate time. Do you think Bottas to Williams is going to be a good move? And can Ocon be an asset to Mercedes, or will he just be dropped in a season or two for Kimi Antonelli? And what about Yuki Tsunoda? Where does he end up in all of this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.